All right, in this lesson here, what we're going to do is take a look at developing the character class. Now, we've got our picture up that we looked at all the way back in the introduction for this VTM.
I don't remember it.
I'm sure you don't. You have a hard time remembering anything 5 minutes ago. Okay, well, that happened 5 minutes ago, that is. So anyways, taking a look at this, right now we've got the red arrows up showing inheritance, basically where we've got a class that's inheriting from another class. And if you remember in the last lesson, we created our sprite class. And the sprite class was the base for, well, everything that's going to get drawn that moves, right? Well, that, as we talked about in the last lesson, were things like our evil monkey, Joel the hero, and the fireball, okay? Joel the hero, you're going to so die. Now, in this lesson here, we're going to create the character class, and the character class, of course, is inheriting from sprite.
Right.
Now, the character class is going to, again, lie as a foundation for all of the different types of characters we could create that we could select to play. Now, our game's not really very robust in regards to having a menu where you can select, would you like to be a mage, would you like to be a fighter, or et cetera, et cetera. But it's set up in such a way that it would be very easy to implement that. So you'll notice right here, if I reach over here and grab the mouse, that basically, as we're now about to create character, deriving from sprite, then we'll end up deriving mage from character right there. Now, what is it that we're looking to create in character that's going to make it, it's going to add a little bit more functionality that sprite didn't have? Well, we can just go ahead and jump over here to our notes, and if you just a quick glance at this, the big thing you're seeing is key press.
Yep.
It's key stuff, being able to move this guy around.
Letting the user control the sprite.
User controlled. That's right. Now, with if we quickly jump back over here into Photoshop, do we need user control for the enemy?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Do we need user control for the fireball?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Once the fireball's been fired, we're going to need to know which way the character was facing and stuff like that.
I was going to say, what if we wanted an enemy that was actually controlled by a second player?
So we had a multiplayer type game.
We could, in fact, drive off a character to a special enemy branch.
Yeah.
Not related to enemy itself, but a different fork in the road, so to speak. And you could have a user-controlled enemy. That'd be pretty cool.
So, that would be cool.
That would be interesting. Homework ideas come flooding in. Right now, all of our viewers are like, oh, man. Okay, so anyways, coming back over here, the key press being the big thing. Joel, you want to go ahead and elaborate just a little bit on this?
All right, sure. Basically, we just need to inherit from our sprite class and then add the ability for our player to press keys and do certain things. So the variables that we're going to need is the up key, down key, left key, and right key. And all that we're going to do is when the user presses the up key, we want the sprite to move up 1 in Y, right? Well, actually, -1 in Y if it's up.
If you're going to go up.
Right, and if you press down, you want it to go 1 in Y.
Yeah.
If you press the left key, you want it to be -1 in X. You want right key, +1 in X.
That's it.
That's it. That's all there is to it.
We've already got all the functionality in place to handle doing the movement in regards to in memory where it exists. And then, of course, that knows to redraw it.
That's right.
And erase the old one.
That's right.
All that stuff's done.
This is going to be almost a vacation.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, this is going to be easy.
This is where you really start to see the power of object-oriented programming.
Yes, for sure. So why don't we go ahead and switch over to .NET and start implementing this guy.
And we're going to do our standard procedure.
Header file
Starting out with the header, which comes with a rule, if not defined. Joel, you're slow. We're way ahead of you now. Dan's waiting over there.
Character, class.
Okay, if and df.
Character underscore H. Define character underscore H. Come on, Joel. You
sound like a Dalek.
Thank you very much.
There will be a few people out there saying, yeah.
Good.
And other people will be saying, what the heck?
Yeah.
I'm one of those. All right, class character.
Oh, but now this is going to get a little interesting here.
We're at a colon.
Well, we're doing inheritance just
stuff.
like what we did with the vector class.
Yep. So public sprite. Now, of course, we're going to need to know about our sprite. So before we get too ahead of ourselves, we're going to include sprite.h. Simple as that, right?
Yep. Excellent.
So now inside of here, we're going to have to modify the constructor of this guy, so character. And then inside the constructor, we're going to need the draw engine. So pointer to that.
We're going to see a lot of duplicates from the sprite class.
Yes, we are.
Because we need to pass the sprite class the information that it needs in its constructor. So it only makes sense to sort of repeat a little bit.
Yeah. So let me just put this down to the next line. This is fine. Remember, white spaces are ignored. Doesn't matter. Of course, if you had a high resolution, it could go farther, but anyway. Lives equals... How many lives do you want?
Well, as a character, I would say 3.
That sounds good to me.
If you wanted more, say, to live almost
like 999,999 for testing.
Yep.
But right now, we're also going to pass something new. This is where the character starts. What keys do we want the user to press to do what functions? So the first one is going to be character up key. So what key do we want to have the user press for the character to go up?
Yeah, you can go with the good old
U.
W.
Oh, I mean W, my bad, yeah. U.
Okay. If you play any 3D games these days, you'll tend to find move forward is W.
W, A, S, D.
Right,
yeah.
SD, yeah.
It's the good old WSA combination.
Yep. So character down key.
That's S.
That's S.
Yeah, very good, Joel.
Big hands. Then you're like, on the keyboard.
Yeah, Buzz, you actually almost know how to use this key combination now.
Almost.
Almost.
I don't know. I mean, I was able to spank you quite a few times with it, so I guess.
Yeah, sure. You were trying.
Conversation dies. And what's the next function we're going to make there, Joel?
So after defining our constructor there,
we're going to define our key press. Key press.
Virtual.
Key press, and we're going to pass it character C, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the user, which is our game.cpp, is going to call key press and say what key was pressed, and key press is going to process that information and say which direction we want to go.
Right.
And the important thing to realize is that it will return true if this class used the key press.
Right.
It will return false if it didn't.
That's right.
And this is important. So say we want to make a mage class and add some firing functionality, we can actually do some use of the character class's key press function.
Right.
Which we'll see when we get to that section.
One thing I wish you guys remembered is we have two different sections, public and protected.
Actually,
you guys forgot.
No, we didn't. We like laughing at you when you just get things wrong.
Yeah, right. Sure you
and
were.
by default, everything goes
Everything
to
does
private.
go to... Yes, and that's... Yeah.
Yeah. So we were technically in the private section.
Yeah, we were.
So we were fine. Sort of.
No.
I was just waiting for Joel to go, but I forgot. And he did.
We almost need a new rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So remember, let me just switch back over into our notepad for a second. We have the variables, up key, down key, left key, and right key. These are all going to be characters, as we discussed. So we need to define these. So back in .NET, we're going to say character up key, character down key, character left key, and character right key.
And these, of course, get the values that we passed inside the constructor. So just by happenstance, if we want some different keys for left, right, up, down, we can just define them as different keys.
Yep, we can pass it in the constructor. So we can say add new item. We're going to add a CPP file, and this is going to be character. Now, first thing we always need to do is include our corresponding header file, so character.h. Then we're going to define what?
Constructor.
The constructor.
Great job, guys.
We need to construct things.
The things we must do when we are created. Stuff.
Everyone out there is saying, what the heck?
Character up key, character down key, character left key,
character right key.
All right.
And we have to
do something interesting here. What we're going to do is call Sprite, the constructor for Sprite, because it already does all the initializing work, right?
Yeah, when we inherit, we have the ability to call the constructor of the class that we inherit from.
That's right.
And so we do this with the colon.
So colon, Sprite, and then just pass it what was passed to us.
Actually, Joel, if you don't mind, can you hit enter on that and
sure.
just bring us down?
Right there. So D, S, index, X, Y, num, labs.
And of course, since these have default values, or past values, we can just pass them along.
That's right. And the only thing we're going to need to set is the characters that we have that's new to this class. Character equals D. This is where you guys say something.
Yeah, we're almost about 80% done. Well, I'll rephrase that. We're about 50% done right now with this class.
Now, one difference that we do have here is the class ID is different, isn't it?
That's true. And we're going to have to go into sprite.h and
add
that
something.
type of class ID.
But we can just say class ID. We want this to equal character, using the name convention that we used before, character class ID. So all we need to do is change our enum that we had before.
Well, we don't have to change. Well,
we add something to it, right?
Because we're going to take advantage of the enum functionality.
That's
and not
right.
care about the number, but just care that it's in there.
Yep. So we come over to here, and here
simply add one more.
So character
class ID
underscore class ID.
I mean, how convenient is that?
That's very convenient.
It's very convenient.
So let's come over to our character.cpp. That's set up. The only other thing that we have to do is our character press. So character key press. Whoa, no.
It is alive. As you'll notice, we had some sprite functionality, of course, because of inheritance.
That's right.
That's why that popped up.
So inside of here, all we do is say if C, the character that was passed to us, equals up key, what do we want to do? We want to move ourselves up. So inside of here, we can say return move, which is going to say, remember, move returns whether or not we really move.
That's true.
In this case, it's always going to move, but in the future, this will become important. So if we say up key, we want to move -1 in Y, which is up. Else if C equals down key, what do we want to do?
I'll move down. Just add 1 to Y.
Yep. Now I'm just going to copy this, ding, and then just change this stuff around.
Again, Buzz, you want to talk about something while he's typing?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he actually did a copy and paste when just earlier he was trying to insist that he liked to type and not do copy and paste.
The other structure that we could have used here, too, would have been a switch case structure.
Yes, we could have.
Both accomplish the same goal, and it's both quite, they're neat enough both ways that it really
doesn't really matter. Yeah. So at this point, everything should be created the way we want it to be created. So if we go back to our game.cpp.
So we have a class now that accepts input from a key press that will move our sprite.
Yep, exactly.
And that is cool.
That is cool. So if we switch over to our game.cpp, instead of our player being a sprite, what do we want it to be?
We want it to be a character.
A character.
Which means a couple of things.
Yes.
One, we're going to have to change the definition in the header of game to be of type character.
So we come over to the header of game and change this over to character.
And we also need to include the character header.
In fact, we don't have any other sprites in here, so
we no longer need that one.
We could just change this to character at this point. So we can change this to character, because remember, what does character.h do? It includes sprite.
That's right.
So everything is cool. So if we come back over to game.cpp at this point, this is created. Now, how do we want it to move? Well, we want it to be done after a key was pressed, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be right here. So we could say player, and then we can say key press. As you can see, actually, this is kind of cool. You'll notice all the things that we already have here. It's growing very quickly. So character, key press, and all we need to do is pass it key, which if you remember right up here, we have get input key. So get input sets key to whatever we need it to be.
So as long as the key is W, S, D, or A, we'll move.
Everything
else,
move around.
except for Q, of course, because that'll quit the game.
Ignored.
It'll be ignored, yeah.
So that is good. Now in timer update.
Which means we could easily set it up for the multiplayer, and there could be another series of keys.
That's right.
Using for the other poor guy.
Just using the constructor. You'd have to make sure you put all the arguments in that you need.
So under player move, let's just delete that out because we don't want it to move.
Yeah, we don't want to do that
constantly anymore. So let's try to compile this. Error. Num lives. Undeclared identifier. Now, this was changed to lives. I should have seen that, but I didn't. So let's compile this guy. Oh, and right here, this was, I put UDLR. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
But we can change it up here to UDL and R, just so nobody gets confused. The only thing we changed is in the constructor here, we changed the name of the character that was passed to us up, down, left, and right, only specifying the first letter.
Summarize, basically, Joel got lazy here in the typing process.
Yes, I did.
And so by switching that up, because I thought about it earlier, the whole student union thing, and I thought, someone may be confused that the next series of lines down look like suddenly you're redefining them instead of WSA. But then I thought, surely they'll know by now that the names don't have to be the same up above in the argument list. And Joel just got lazy.
Yes,
and I thought, all my student brothers out there and sisters, they understand.
Yes, they do.
And the great part is that the compiler caught that.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, exactly. And smacked you around.
So if you notice, if we go to character.h for a second, these were up key, down key, left key, right key. And this is UD. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, like Buzz said.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So if we try to compile this guy now, dink, everything's good.
Ooh, very sweet.
So let's run him. All right. nothing is showing up right now because I haven't pressed anything yet.
Yes, and since we haven't moved, we don't draw.
Right. So now I just press something, and look at that. I'm pressing S, so I'm moving down.
So you're moving down.
Press W, so I'm moving up.
Ooh.
Press D, I'm moving right. And I press A, and I'm moving left.
Oh,
now,
isn't that special?
That's great. Where are the monsters?
Not yet.
One thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
So that's awesome. You now have the ability to control a character running around the screen.
Yeah.
That's right.
Rock on.
And try this code out. It feels so good once you've built it and you see something moving in your keyboard.
It's
so much nicer
like interaction
than spitting out little 2 + 2 is 4. Woo.
Exactly. So I think that's everything.
Yeah, that's really it. But now we've got ourselves a really nice class structure set up.
That's right.
That we can start pulling from and redefining, if we'd like, different types of characters, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
And we'll show you, of course, how to implement one.
Yes.
And then you can go from that and do all sorts of cool stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so now next lesson, we can start talking about levels.
Oh, this is where things are, all right, at this point, I recommend my student union out there to go and take a break.
Yes.
Because the next lesson's...
Go and grab some Irish coffee.
Yeah, a lot of it. The next lesson's going to cause your brain to hurt a little because this is where it is time to get a level for our character to run around in. And thanks, Joel. And
we have to take care of a few things like collision detection and some other concepts.
And suddenly that starts to get a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
Well, before Joel gets too carried away, we'll go ahead and wrap this lesson up. So thanks a lot, everyone.